Hello.
Being born together doesn't always mean living together. Some stories remain trapped within the mirror.
Hey you, will you play with me?
Welcome to my haunted world.
Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Tonight feels a little different because tonight we're about to listen to a story that's not just fiction but a bone-chilling reality from the not-so-distant past. Somewhere within the real world, a silent universe once emerged, where no one spoke, they only stared into the mirror. This incident is true. It is based on the lives of two twin sisters, historically known as the Silent Twins. We are presenting the most disturbing, strange, and heartbreaking moments of their lives under slightly altered names. You'll hear it all from the very beginning: a mirror and two shadows. This is the story of twin sisters. Let's begin. Some stories are born from imagination, and some, though they sound like fiction, are terrifyingly real. Tonight's story is exactly that, a true event, so strange it feels like a nightmare told in whispers. This story has earned its place in history under the name The Silent Twins, a case still studied in psychiatry textbooks today as a mystery left unsolved. The story I'm about to tell isn't a word-for-word retelling of that case. Some names and places have been changed, but the shadows of what happened still linger on the other side of the mirror. The story begins in 1974. In a small UK town named Everdale, the Gomes family has just moved into a new house. The father, mother, and their identical twin daughters, Joya and 𝗬𝘄𝗶. The two girls look exactly alike. Their movements, expressions, and even their voices are eerily similar. But the strangest part is they never speak to anyone. When teachers ask them questions, they stay silent. If other children call them, they simply lower their heads and walk away. Yet, when they're alone, they speak in a language no one has ever heard before. If Joya stands up, 𝗬𝘄𝗶 stands up. If 𝗬𝘄𝗶 goes near the window, Joya follows. One day, their teacher Miss Heller notices something odd. The twins stand silently in front of the mirror in the classroom for a long time, their faces blank, emotionless, just staring. Miss Heller later says, "There's something unsettling about them. It's as if there's something on the other side of the mirror, something only they can see." At home, 𝗬𝘄𝗶 writes creepy stories in her notebook. One story is called The Fire Father. A little girl burns her father alive because she sees in the mirror that he's not her real father, but a demon. Her mother asks, "Where did you learn this story?" 𝗬𝘄𝗶 gives no reply, just stares wide-eyed. One evening at dinner, Mrs. Gomes notices a long scratch on the living room mirror, like someone clawed it. They think the children did it while playing. But late at night, while everyone's asleep, the parents see Joya and 𝗬𝘄𝗶 standing still in front of the mirror, not moving, not speaking, just staring into the glass. Mr. Gomes asks, "Why aren't you two sleeping?" Joya slowly replies, "He said we can't sleep unless we look into the mirror." From that night on, the Gomes family knew something was wrong, but they didn't yet realize that the mirror wasn't just reflecting images. It was forging a pact, a silent agreement meant to last until death.
A mirror is more than just glass. Sometimes it becomes the silent witness to a deal no one else in the world will ever know. A secret pact that bound two twin sisters. One would live, the other would die. And somehow, it felt like they chose it themselves. Year 1978. Joya and 𝗬𝘃𝗲 are now teenagers. Their connection with the outside world has almost vanished. No friends, no conversations, failing in school. But they keep writing, drawing, creating dark and disturbing stories. Mrs. Gomes says their room always feels cold. They keep the mirror right in front of their beds, and every day they sit in front of it for hours, just watching. One day, Mr. Gomes finds Joya's diary. Inside it reads, "We've made our decision. We can't both survive. If I live, 𝗬𝘃𝗲 must go. If she lives, I must go. The mirror has heard our words." Beside the writing is a drawing. Two twin girls standing on opposite sides of a mirror with a crack down the middle. On one side, a body with eyes closed. On the other, eyes open. Eventually, they stopped speaking to each other. Even at mealtimes, they used written notes. One note says, "You're stealing my shadow. I can't bear your face anymore. If one of us dies, it will all be over." Mrs. Gomes says, "We consulted doctors, asked the school, but no one could explain their behavior. Their love for each other was deep, but so was their hatred, like poison." The decision is made to send them for psychiatric evaluation. They're taken to 𝗕𝗲𝗵𝗶𝗃 Mental Center, where Dr. Miriam works. After their first meeting, Dr. Miriam says they fear each other, and yet they cannot live apart. There's something going on between them, a contract, a silent understanding, something we can't see, but the mirror shows it. One night, the CCTV captures 𝗬𝘃𝗲 in her room, alone, speaking to the mirror. Her lips move, but no sound. The next day, she says, "He came again. He said his turn is over. Now I'll live, he'll go." Dr. Miriam asks, "Who told you that?" 𝗬𝘃𝗲 replies, "Joya." Dr. Miriam says, "But you are Joya." 𝗬𝘃𝗲 laughs, a cold, hollow laugh, and whispers, "You won't understand. We made the deal with the mirror." A deal invisible to the world, but binding two lives. One would die, and the time was drawing near. We just didn't know yet who the mirror was waiting for. When we're sad, we often look into the mirror. But some, the moment they look, they disappear. There's a space between living and surviving, where even the mirror forgets which side is real. Year 1982. Location, Broadmoor Hospital, UK. Now 19, Joya and 𝗬𝘃𝗲 have become dangerously unstable. 𝗕𝗲𝗵𝗶𝗃 Mental Center can't handle them anymore. They're transferred to Broadmoor. The reason isn't just mental illness. They've started firing, setting fires, vandalizing property. They even tried burning down a pet shop, as if acting out the stories they once wrote. At Broadmoor, they're kept in separate rooms, but every time they're apart, strange things happen. Joya faints, cries for no reason. 𝗬𝘃𝗲 pulls her hair out and screams. Even from a distance, they seem to hear each other.
A nurse says, "I heard 𝗬𝗂𝗃 whisper in her sleep. She's trapped behind the mirror now. I have to bring her back." They begin keeping diaries again, separately, but their entries are nearly identical. One reads, "We've decided. This time it's her turn. She will be free and I will go. The mirror is our witness." Soon, 𝗬𝗂𝗃 stops eating. Dark circles form under her eyes. Hair falls. She weakens. Dr. Miriam, now at Broadmoor, visits them again. 𝗬𝗂𝗃 looks at her and says, "I'm going to die. Don't be sad. I'm freeing her." Dr. Miriam asks, "Why do you want to die?" 𝗬𝗂𝗃 says nothing, just stares at the mirror and whispers, "She told me. It's time." March 1993. On a routine clinic visit, both sisters are in the car. Joya is talking. 𝗬𝗂𝗃 sits silently. Suddenly, 𝗬𝗂𝗃 collapses. No trauma, no warning. She's rushed to the hospital, but within minutes, she dies. No illness, no poison, no signs of heart failure. The report reads, "Cause of death, acute inflammation of the heart muscle. No identifiable reason, suspected sudden death syndrome." What happened after is even stranger. Joya, who had never spoken normally in her life, suddenly becomes normal. She starts talking, laughing, painting, giving interviews. She says, "My sister made the choice. One of us had to survive. She gave me my freedom."
Sometimes freedom isn't liberty. Sometimes someone's absence becomes another's deepest punishment. April 1993. After 𝗬𝗂𝗃's death, even the doctors at Broadmoor were stunned. The girl who never cried died with a smile, and the silent one began to speak. Dr. Miriam says, "She looks free, but there's a void in her eyes, like a part of her is gone." In an interview, Joya says, "We had a pact. No one else knew, just us. She said she'd go so I could live. She told me, 'You stay on this side of the mirror, I'll stay on the other.'" A reporter asks, "Do you still feel her presence?" Joya lowers her head and replies, "Every day. When I stand in front of a mirror, I hear her breath. I know she's gone, but I am not alone." Joya is released from Broadmoor. She lives alone in a small cottage, tries to live a normal life, but every morning she stands before the mirror and leaves a note beside it for 𝗬𝗂𝗃. What's written in the note, no one knows. Some truths fade slowly, but certain marks never disappear. On the mirror surface, on pages of a diary, or in someone's silent eyes. Nearly 30 years later, 2023, a documentary filmmaker, 𝗧𝗂𝗶𝘃, was researching forgotten psychiatric cases. She finds the name Joya and 𝗬𝗂𝗃 Gomes on a patient list. Intrigued, she tracks down their old house, now abandoned, covered in dust. No one lives there, except for an old mirror propped against the wall. 𝗧𝗂𝗃 looks into the glass. It's covered in a faint mist. At first, she assumes it's her own breath. But as she stands closer, she realizes her breath doesn't fog the mirror. And yet, there are two clear fingerprints side by side on the glass. She starts recording, steps forward slowly. In the video, her voice whispers, "This isn't possible. I'm alone here. But the mirror says I'm not." Suddenly, a faint voice replies, Now it's your turn to speak. Raya turns. No one's there. From her journal. No one will believe me, but I swear, even if Joya is gone, Jisha is still out there. Neither of them ever fully crossed over, because the mirror remembers everything. That brings us to the end of tonight's story. Sometimes real stories feel more unbelievable than fiction. Even today, many still wonder, when we stand in front of a mirror, do all reflections truly belong to us? Every part of this story was inspired by true events. We only changed a few names, but the silence, the sorrow, and those strange shadows, they were all real. Thank you for giving us your time. Stay well, stay safe. We'll meet again with another true, strange, and silent story. Good night, everyone.
Like and subscribe.